official title. Welcome back to the show. This is Warren Ballantyne, aka WB, the host of Common Ground, where we try to find solutions to problems. We don't blame people, we don't point fingers. We can agree to disagree without being disagreeable, but most important, we treat everybody as human beings and we respect everybody. So, this show is about learning and prospering and about literally coming together to put you in a better place. And I got two of the best people that I know on the planet to help us talk about where we're going in the future with real estate in this country. Let's talk a little bit about the 50-year mortgages that President Trump is literally saying, hey, maybe we should do this. Let's talk about home ownership. Let's talk about refinancing. We're going to talk about everything in this quick interview. Joining me right now, of course, you guys know Tony Lawrence. He comes on all the time. Tony, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Warren.
But we have a new person with us, Tanner Helm. Tanner, welcome to the show, and tell everybody, and for everybody who doesn't know, you know I talk about JMG all the time, guys, and how great they are. Tanner is about to tell you his position in JMG.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah, my name's Tanner Helm. I am the division president and corporate team leader of JMG in Boise, Idaho. So appreciate you having me on.
Now, I'm going to start with you, Tanner. Boise, Idaho, all right? First off, I'm going to say I love Boise. I've been up there a couple of times, like it a lot. Secondly, I'm glad you said Boise, Idaho, because see, people, when I talk about JMG, they think, well, are they all over the nation? And I'm like, yes, they're all over the nation, and they're doing so many wonderful things. So let's talk a little bit about how JMG is different than some of these other big name companies that people may hear or see the advertising for all over the nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're up there in potato country, Boise, Idaho, and yeah, it's beautiful. I was able to help them kind of relaunch the market up there, which is great. And yeah, I mean, they're doing so much different, and you know, I'd like to say better than a lot of companies out there, but it's our commitment to our partnerships and a great client experience. Ultimately, I've worked at a ton of different companies, and it's hands down the best company I've ever worked for in terms of value they bring to the agents, and yeah, like I said, just ultimate client experience and everything else all across the board. It's great.
You know, Tony, he just talked about the clients and the agents, and I want to tap into the agents specifically with you. I know you do a lot with the recruitment part for JMG. I know you're one of the top recruiters for JMG when it comes to bringing other agents into the company and into the fold. Why should agents right now be looking at JMG if they're interested in changing brokerages or they're brand new? Why should they be looking at JMG?
Easy. I mean, it's from a support system to the referral partners that we have. I think JMG provides a ton of value up and down the board. You know, a lot of teams out there, they offer leads, Realtor.com, OpCity, Zillow Flex, things like that. We have, gosh, I think it's 60 plus partners across the country that send our agents opportunities. And in my opinion, it's just compounding those opportunities, right? Having many different avenues that can generate business for you, not just one, right? I say it all the time. I talk to agents that either pay for Zillow leads or they're on a Zillow Flex team. I go, what are you going to do if Zillow turns you off? What are you going to do if that account is lost, right? Having many different avenues to generate income is crucial in this industry. And I think JMG does it better than anybody out there. I'm at our corporate office here in Scottsdale till tomorrow. I was just in our mission control department, our ISA team, and you should see the systems they use and the partners they have and all that, and the agents that we are pushing referrals out to. Sometimes your sphere business does dry up a little bit, and to pay those bills and to have those other avenues is crucial, is key.
You know, I've been talking to you and Jennifer Burry for a while now, and the one thing that I'm learning about this industry with you guys that seems to be different than every other agency out there that's saying, hey, you know, we can give you leads. You guys have a lot of people who are already qualified. They're already pre-qualified for their leads, and that makes a huge difference for an agent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 90% of our partners are lending institutions. And so therefore, these consumers and these potential future clients, they're meeting with their loan officer, whether it be Rocket, New American Funding, Amerisave, whoever it may be. They're meeting with them to get their pre-approval letter. And by the time they get to us, they've already had that conversation and that meeting. And so I'd say 75% of the referrals are pre-approved. The other 25 are in the process of getting pre-approved. Tanner, I know Tanner was with Real Brokers before coming to JMG. He's been in the industry a long time, and he made the jump. I mean, Tanner, is that a fair assessment? Your first, what have you been here, 9 months or something? 8, 9, 10 months, whatever it is. What has your experience been with the referrals that have been sent?
Yeah, I mean that's spot on. I'm like Tony said, I've worked just about everywhere, and the biggest thing is like getting a referral into your email, text message, and then reaching out to them and knowing that they're excited to talk to an agent, they're ready to go shopping, or will be ready in the very near future. It's massive. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there, both on the brokerage side and also independent companies that will say, oh, well, we've got leads, but what you end up getting is just a name, address, and a phone number, and hoping that somebody's picking up on the other end of the phone versus, the partners we're getting. You get leads straight to your inbox, referrals from our partners. And like Tony said, they're ready to roll, either right now or very soon. And yeah, it's been a game changer. I mean, in my first 6 months here, I guess 7 months here, I've closed 8, have 4 in escrow, and we're going to end out the year at 13 or 14 deals, and that's just in the first 7 months. So and then the other thing too that's massive is like, even with that business closing, we all know the cycles of real estate. A lot of times, if you have 4 or 5 escrows going, you close those out, your pipeline dries up. With JMG, it's not like that at all. I have a handful of escrows going right now, and still leads coming in daily or weekly that are ready to keep the pipeline full. So there's never that uncertainty of where the next deal's coming, or who's going to be my client after all these escrows close out. It's there's a steady flow of business always coming in, and it's been a huge stress release off my business, just in terms of knowing that as escrows close out, you have more people ready to shop, more people coming down the pipeline that are ready to get into escrow. And yeah, it's been a game changer for sure.
One of the things that I've also learned about this business from speaking with Jennifer and Tony, Tanner, is that self-gen leads, right, for agents are huge. And with all these leads that you guys are getting that are pre-qualified or qualified leads, those end up turning into self-gen leads because they tell their friends, their family members about how good JMG has been to them. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working with a buyer right now that was one of the very first JMG leads that I closed. We closed back in June, and he's referred me 2 of his coworkers already. He was super excited. Obviously, we as agents have to do our part to make sure they have a good experience, a smooth experience, communicate well, all that stuff. But I mean, when you're talking about adding 20 to 30 clients to your pipeline every year that you're closing, and then you have their friends, family, coworkers, whatever, like, yeah, you provide a good experience, they'll be really excited to refer you out to all those people, and like you said, increase that self-gen business for sure.
Now, Tony, I want to jump back in here with the recruitment part specifically, and then let's talk a little bit about the buy. Let's talk about the buying and selling, because I want to talk about this. What President Trump is suggesting with the 50-year mortgage, but with the recruitment part, Tony, the other part of this that I found very interesting, as somebody who ran a law firm for years, practiced law for years, and had workers working under me, the fact that if you're an agent, JMG helps you grow your business in your particular market. It's not just you're working for JMG, you also can be your own business at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunities we give our agents right now, with some overrides and some downlines, a lot of agents hear that in the industry. What's the downline? What's the rev share model? In my opinion, JMG has the best. You get an override on any agent you bring in, but more importantly, you're helping that agent scale and grow their business. Any agent listening to this right now, I think if they're not looking to add 20 to 30 deals a year to their pipeline, which, look, JMG isn't a perfect fit for everybody. There's a lot of agents out there that are really successful and really good at generating business. In my opinion, that is the hardest part about anything that you run. whether it's a law firm, whether it's a real estate agent, whether you're selling insurance, right? It's getting the business. That is what is the hardest part about doing anything. It's not necessarily the business that you do, it's getting it. And so if you are struggling, it's been a hard year for a lot of agents. If you are struggling, if you're sitting at 4, 5, 6, 7 deals this year and you want to scale, this is a great place to call home because again, you're not being connected to a Zillow Flex or to an Obsidian. Look, there's nothing wrong with those lead sources. I ran my business 7 years in a Zillow Flex program, but the burnout is high, right? You don't have the opportunity, you don't have the time to spend on your own self-gen business because you're too busy working in their business. And at JMG, you know, yeah, some months you might get four referrals, some months you might get 12. It really depends. Um, but the quality is so much higher that it leaves you time to carve out working on your own sphere business. And any agent's going to tell you that's where you take that next step. JMG is here to be supplemental. It's here to pay your bills. I always say it's about as close to salaried as you're going to get in the industry, right? But to take that next step, to get those bonuses, right? That's your sphere business. That's where the real money is. And this helps you scale that so much quicker. Doing 20, 30, 40 deals a year versus doing 8, right? Because you have that many more people that can now send you business.
Now, for somebody that's listening right now, and Tanner, I'm gonna come to you with this question. Somebody that's listening that is an agent and they're saying, okay, I want to learn more about JMG. Now, Tony, I know, and Tony, you can give this out right quick. Your Indeed, I don't know if you know your Indeed site to send people to Indeed to follow up with you on Indeed, but you can give that information out right now for an agent that may be listening and want to find out more about the recruitment part.
Yeah, there's a handful of us, Tanner included, that, look, the bottom line is we have a lot of partnerships coming up. Open Door is a big one. The Rocket Redfin merger is a big one that we were able to land. So we do have a lot of referral opportunities to give out. And just the bottom truth is we need agents to take these referrals. And so there's a handful of leaders, myself included, that are using any tool that we have at our disposal. Indeed is a great one. So if you go to Indeed and you just Google or just type in Jason Mitchell Group, I'm sure you'll see a handful of our leaders that are running ads right now, trying to grow some of these market centers, because again, we can help. We can change the lives of a lot of agents, and we have. I mean, Jen Burry is a prime example of somebody that went, and she was doing very well her first year, 20, 30 deals, but now she's doing 100. And I think she'll be the first one to tell you that never would have been possible without the support and the opportunities that Jason and JMG have given.
Now, Tanner, let me switch the question a little bit for you. When the agents are listening and they say, okay, well, I want to look at this, I want to find out what's going on with this. I want to talk more about the leadership, because what I found interesting about your company is that you guys have coaching and all these other things that they do throughout the month and the weeks, where agents can come on and really learn how to be better agents. Even if they've been doing it for 15 or 20 years, it's little things that they can learn in these coaching sessions that really helps. That's something that's very unique from my point of view. I've never heard of a real estate company doing something like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the coaching here is incredible, and I think that coaching obviously is something that's heavily sold in the real estate space, whether it's independent coaches or brokerages having coaches. And I've done and seen a lot of it, and honestly, it gets a little corny, I think, from time to time. And what I love about JMG, like, I'm the first to say, like, when I first came on board, I was like, I don't know about these coaching calls, whatever, because they're, I mean, 3 days a week, 5 days a week sometimes of coaching calls, everything from actual like tactical business day-to-day stuff, like what to do when a lead comes in, how to sit down. I mean, Jen's the best at it in the business. She walks through exactly what her buyer presentation is, exactly what her seller presentation is. And I mean, that's high level coaching that all you have to do is open up your calendar, click a Google Meet and join, and you can do that weekly, all the way down to mindset and business strategy and things like that I mean, I think you get like I said, coaching in the real estate industry is become very popular, but to get with people on a regular basis that are excited to share, that's the other thing. These are people in the same company that are excited to collaborate and share. I'm down in Arizona right now. I'm going to meet with a few of our leaders while I'm down here to figure out next steps in the business. My production's gone up a ton since I've been here. Like, what's the next step? And you get to sit and talk with people that are actual leaders that have done it. They're not just talking about how they do it. They're closing 80 to 100 deals. They've brought on assistants and teams and buyers agents. And, the resources here are incredible in terms of people that are willing to share their knowledge and their skill set so that you can better your business. And I think that's like one of the things that attracted me most to JMG was that there's no ceiling, and the opportunities like Tony mentioned outside of just how many deals you can do in a year to earn income. I think all of us to some extent have a little bit of a goal to earn income outside of our transactions. And so, JMG has the ability and the people here that have actually built it and done it that offer, their coaching, their time with no expense. And you just, like I said, you hop on a call and you can learn from literally the best in the business.
I'm gonna tell you what's interesting to me. I do this show on Sirius XM, and then it runs as a YouTube show on YouTube, but I also do shows all across the nation on different radio stations across the nation. And when I'm on those stations, I talk about JMG on those stations. And what's funny is that people actually reach out to Tony for recruitment, for Jen for buying and selling. And I'm just like, I'm literally talking for like 60 seconds. I'm not even talking as long as I'm talking right now. But it's because everything that I've seen about JMG is uniquely different to me in the sense that you guys care about your agents, you care about the buyers, you care about your sellers, you follow through, you go above and beyond, and you treat them not like clients, but like, hey, I want a relationship with you that's gonna last from this point on. Not just you're gonna buy a house with me or you're gonna sell a house with me and we're done. And I think that's uniquely different in this industry because me personally, I bought a house and one realtor was fantastic. The next one, oh my God, she was a nightmare. She was a complete nightmare. And I haven't seen that with JMG. And I think that makes you guys a little bit different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. I think, like I said, I've worked for and with just about every company out there. And, what JMG does from A to Z, from actually procuring the business for their agents all the way down to the client experience post closing, the service that's offered. I mean, it's really next level. And, I do a ton of recruiting as well, like Tony and a lot of our other leaders. And I always tell agents, like, JMG is built and set up for you to do what you do best. And that's, service your clients well, be out talking to them, showing houses, listing houses. But everything else on the back end is set up so that you don't have to worry about it. And I truly don't believe that there's anybody else in the industry that's doing it this way.
Now, Tony, let me switch gears and talk a little bit about buying and selling. All right. If it's somebody out there trying to buy a house or trying to sell a house, and what I've been saying on this show and on other shows is, hey, this is the time to kind of do it because I do believe that they're going to adjust the rates real soon because they're going to have to re-stimulate this economy. This is why Trump is talking about a 50-year mortgage. This is why Trump is talking about giving people a $2,000 check. They have to re-stimulate the economy, and the easiest way to do that is to adjust the rates. And so I'm telling people, hey, now is the time if you want to sell, if you want to buy, this is the time. Tony, what should buyers and sellers be looking for in an agent? And is this the time that they should be trying to move their house or buy a house?
Yeah, I think it depends on what your goals are. Everybody's goals are different, right? Not every seller, believe it or not, is after top dollar. Some sellers, they want to get out of their house quick. We have a lot of cash programs here at JMG, a lot of cash buyers that we can make quick, solid offers. And sometimes that's great for a seller, sometimes it's not. Going with a trusted agent in your area that has done 12, 15, 20 deals is a great starting point, right? Because you know that they have a pulse on what's happening. I know in my market, it can change from month to month. I'm up in Minnesota, so the Midwest. We got the holidays right around the corner. We got snow coming. Now is not a great time to sell a house. But you know what? It's a really good time to buy a house because the competition is low. Come March, April, May, it's going to be a really good time to sell. And if you go with an agent that only does a handful of deals a year, they may not know that stuff, right? They may try to get a quick sale done. And somebody that's going to advocate for you and be in your corner through it all, but also be honest with you, right? Most sellers believe their home is usually worth a little more than it actually is based off of comps. And to have somebody that is going to sit down and shoot it to you straight, I think is important. But lastly, I'd say find somebody you click well with, right? Because you're going to be working with them and dealing with them for 30, 60, 90 days. And you want to make sure that you enjoy that process, that time, those phone calls, right? Because I've had agents that have had poor experiences. I've had clients that have had poor experiences, and also go easy on the agents too, because we can't control the market. We control the controllables. That's all you can do. But that would be my advice. Is just get with a local trusted agent that has experience within the last 12 to 24 months, because markets change and they can change pretty quickly.
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody who's looking to buy or sell to check out JMG. And trust me when I tell you this, they're different. They're completely different. Tanner, let me ask you this, and then we're gonna get out of here real soon. The 50-year mortgages, I please kind of break this down, because I've been telling people it sounds fantastic, but if you're only saving $300 a month, and then with a 50-year mortgage, your 400,000 loan ends up being an $800,000 loan. Is it even worth saving that $300?
Yeah, man. Look, I think I've spent a lot of time talking to lender partners about it, thinking about it myself, doing some research. Obviously it's such a hot topic right now. I want to make sure that we're, educated on it and whatnot. But look, I think anything that gets more people into home ownership is usually a good thing. And then obviously the question is, what's the cost? I think with the 50-year mortgage in particular, it's the intentions are good. It's really hard to say how it plays out though. And I think ultimately, like you said, you might be saving a couple $100 a month on your monthly payment, which is great for sure. I also think on the flip side of that coin, you look at most people with 30-year mortgages don't stay in their house for 30 years. So are you really
Hmm.
taking, on all that interest burden? Most likely not. I think people are going to get into a home and follow the trends of selling in the first, 7 to 12 years, or refinancing out of it. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think everybody needs to weigh their options and what's best for them. And, I think obviously home ownership in general is tried and true, the best way to build wealth. Building equity is great. And I tell all my buyers the same thing, even outside of the 50-year mortgage, like, whatever you can do to get into a home that you can afford, I always recommend doing. Don't stretch yourself to the point where, you're going to be house poor, but get into a house, start building equity. There's always options down the road, but real estate, if you're playing the long game, wins every time. There's obviously outliers, markets, things like that. But I'm like, if you're playing the long game in real estate, you're going to win. The 50-year mortgage to me feels like, if it goes through, feels like another tool to get into that game. And, if the difference is a couple $100, and that's the difference between you owning a home and not owning a home, I think owning a home is going to be better. I've seen a lot of lenders saying things like, if your agent or your lender's recommending you get a 50-year mortgage, you need a new agent. And to me, I'm just like, I don't know, like, how can a lender say that, but then also promote a 30-year mortgage instead of a 15? Like, to me, I'm like, if you got a problem with interest, you got to have a problem with all loans, not just ones that are a little bit extended. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't put together real hard thoughts on it, on if it's good, bad, or indifferent. But I think what I do know for sure is home ownership in general is tried and true. Building wealth, building equity is one of the best things you can do for your financial future. And I'm a big advocate for that, whatever that looks like. If your mortgage dropping $200, $300 a month allows you to get into home ownership, I think it's a good idea.
Before we get out of here, I'm gonna close with this. For everybody that's listening, Tanner said two things that was very important. One, if this passes and it goes through and you qualify for a 50-year mortgage and you're afraid of the interest, most people will do one or two things. They will sell that house within 10 years or 15 years, so you're not going to be really holding it for 50. Second thing, you can always refinance. And you can refinance at a lower rate and lower years. He's right. The key is just getting the home. That is the key, just getting the home. And the thing about JMG, I promise you, this passes, they will tell you and teach you the right thing to do and tell you, hey, this is what your plan is. You're just getting the house right now, but the plan down the road is X, Y, and Z. Because even when you buy a home with these agents, they talk about the possibility of selling it later and what you can get out of the house compared to new bills and everything else. I've never heard an agency do stuff like this until I start doing things with people from JMG. So make sure you go check out JMG. You can go to Jennifer Burry's website, jenniferburryrealtor.com. All information is up there. Tanner, Tony, thank you guys so much for being with us today on Common Ground.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Warren.
All right, guys. We'll be right back. You're listening to the WB on Common Ground.